Hey there, it's me, Brett Fish, and it's so great to see you back for another episode of Race with Me. There's been a bit of a gap since the last episode, and so we're going to use this episode just to do a bit of a refresher, look back on some of the lessons we've already looked at. And I've got a great idea on how you can use these videos to invite other people along on this journey of anti-racism with you. So as someone who grew up during apartheid, I think one of the things I realized early on in this journey is that this journey towards anti-racism is something that I'm going to be on likely for the rest of my life. There are so many things that I need to learn and things I need to unlearn and relearn, things I need to dismantle, things I need to add in my life, certain attitudes, behaviors, all that kind of thing that I need to change or work on. And unfortunately, it's not something that happens overnight. I was racist, now I'm not racist anymore. It's a process. It's a journey. And if you've made it this far, you're probably realizing the same as well, that there's so many different things we need to learn that even a series of 50 videos isn't going to make us not racist. It's just hopefully going to give us some ideas on things which we can work on. And so maybe one of the most important things we can do in this is invite other people to join this journey with us. We can't make other people do it. We can't make other people anti-racist, but we can invite people to walk alongside us. And one of the ways I thought you could use these videos is by thinking of someone you know. It might be a friend or a family member. It could even be a group of friends. And going back to the start of the series and inviting someone and saying, hey, let's go through this together. I'm about to do this. Do you want to join me? And then maybe you could do it for the next 30 days, do the catch up on the 29 videos we have so far. Or you could say, let's do one video a week and choose a time where you watch it together, not necessarily physically together, but you watch it at the same time. And then you have a WhatsApp call or a Zoom or an email or whatever it is, and just chat about it. Talk about things that stood out for you, something that was challenging, something new that you learned, maybe a blind spot. One of the good things about doing this with people that know us well is that they will see things that we won't see in ourselves, and hopefully have the relationship capacity to be able to point stuff out to us without us getting too defensive or whatever. So this can be an amazing opportunity for you to invite somebody or some bodies that you know and start from the beginning of the series again and work through week by week the different activities, the different actions, the different thought processes. And by doing it together, you're probably going to learn a whole lot more. You're going to get more creative. You're going to be able to spur each other on with momentum. And that is an amazing way of you both inviting other people into this journey, but you also helping your journey to be deeper, to be more effective, to be more fun, because you're doing it alongside other people. So take a moment right now and think of someone, or maybe a few people who might be interested, who might be brave enough or keen or willing to join you on this journey. Who is the person that you would ask? Who are the people that you ask? Maybe you could make a group and explore this together. And maybe even pause this video right now and send them a message and say, hey, I'm about to do this thing. I'd love it if you join me. I feel like we could learn so much together. Would you be willing to commit to whatever you decide? Once a day, once a week, whatever it is. And then start the adventure of exploring your anti-racism alongside other people that you really care about and who care about you. I think that could be quite an exciting journey and adventure. So let's remind ourselves of the journey we've been on so far by looking at the first 10 ideas that we covered in the Race With Me series. I started off by suggesting a couple of books, some helpful reading that you can do in terms of understanding the history and the context of the country that might be different if you're as old as I am from that which you learned in school or just that which you've grown up with. And the two books that I mentioned were How Can Man Die Better? The story of Robert Sobukwe, and I Write What I Like, the articles and essays of Steve Biko. And at the moment, I'm busy reading this book called We Need More Tables by Norma Young, which I'm finding super helpful. It's called, or the subline is Navigating Privilege in the Face of Poverty. And so it's not specifically a race book, but there is so much on race here that is helpful. And another book that I'm almost finished reading is by Charlene Swartz called Another Country. And there are increasingly more books that are being written by South Africans in South Africa that help us to navigate race and various other issues that we face. So do some helpful reading around the topic. There are also blogs and podcasts and articles and other things you can find, but do the work, do the research. The second idea that we looked at was changing up the voices that you listen to. For me, it was finding or realizing that typically when I'd grab a book, it would be old or middle-aged white American males. And so this challenge to start reading females, start reading women, to start reading black, colored, and Indian people, to start reading First Nations people from other countries, people that have different religious views on me, people that are really old, people that are really young, just diversifying the books that I'm reading. And that can kind of stretch across to what am I watching, what am I listening to as well. Are those voices all the same, or am I listening to things that will challenge the way I think, that will give new perspectives and new reflections? That is probably one of the most valuable lessons I've learned in the last 10 years. Then we spoke about getting people's names right, and more particularly calling people the name that they want to be called. If there is a name that you are finding tricky, to be able to commit to practicing it and getting it right and doing everything you can to get it right. But asking people around you, what name is that, the name you'd like to be called? Do you have another name that you prefer to be called by? And just being able to see the person, because names are so important and significant, especially in some specific cultures. We spoke about how color blindness is bad in terms of having it as the point of the thing that we're heading towards. Like, if you are saying that you're colorblind, I don't see color, then you don't see me. If you don't see color, then you don't see the baggage and the abuse and the history that black, colored, and Indian people have had to carry both now in the present, but especially in the past in this country. And so this idea or notion of not seeing color is not helpful. And if you don't see color, you don't see the greatness, you don't see the beauty and the flavor and the style that different people bring to the table. Not each person, or no person, is representative of their nation, their culture, their language group. But there are certain things that we can experience when we start to see people as who they are, as different, but we start to celebrate who they are as a person of color and not see it as something that is less than or worth belittling or rejecting for different reasons. We also spoke about dignity, affording people the dignity they have, recognizing, seeing the dignity in people. And so whether it's the cashier who packs your groceries at the store, or the man who puts petrol into your car, and not seeing them as less than a doctor or a lawyer or some people that society tends to lift up above others, but seeing people in their roles and in their spaces and just who they are as people, just seeing that there's a dignity, that there's a value, and that if they are doing their work with passion and compassion and just giving their all to it, that makes it a beautiful thing, and that one thing is not better than another. We spoke about unlearning your stereotypes, and especially specific stereotypes that we have for us as white people around black people or colored people or Indian people. Black people are all this, colored people are so, Indian people are, however you finish those sentences, that again we spoke about, people are not representative of their color, of their people. And so not just starting to see people as people, listening to people's stories, listening to and connecting with families, and starting to see people as individuals and as part of their groups, but not listening to or leaning on the stereotypes, most or many of which are negative. We spoke about learning the basics of the local language. So what is the main black African language in the area where you live? Can you say, hi, how are you doing? My name is, have a good day. I only speak a little bit. Because there's so much power in at least connecting with somebody else in their first language, and at least making a bit of effort, and then growing your vocab, going on a language course, learning the language fully, but at the very least starting to learn the basics so that you can converse to people in their mother tongue. We spoke about listening and how as white people we are used to having the microphone, we're used to being listened to, we're used to being the authority, and how we need to like that. Just stop speaking. Just lean in. Listen. Take up less space. Let other people speak. Hand the microphone over to other capable voices around us, and be listening more than we speak, doing the research, doing the reading, listening to podcasts, listening to people's stories, and just being more quiet and realizing that this is time for us to learn, that many of us, like myself, have so much catching up to do in terms of being able to be good in this area of race and people that are different to me, that I need to do so much listening. This connects to who we follow on social media. That is a form of listening. Who are the people that I invite to be on my timeline? Who are the voices? There are so many amazing voices of people of color on my Twitter timeline that I'm learning so much from, that I'm being challenged by, that I'm being inspired by. And so that is a form of listening, following people that don't look like you, and listening to their voices. And then the last one we looked at, point 10, was interrogate your words. And so if there is a 40-year-old man who works in your garden and you are calling him boy, that is offensive. If there's a 50-year-old woman looking after your kids or cleaning your house and you refer to her as the girl, or the tea lady at work, or even something like maid, where if we look a little bit deeper, we see it's connected to maid servant, and we see that that's a problematic word. Now, some people, when it comes to words, it's like, oh, it's so much effort and you're fighting over all the words. But this is my thought, and this is a bonus, and I'll finish on this. When in doubt, don't. If it doesn't hurt me to not hurt someone else, why not just not do it? And so when I'm interrogating my words, if there's something that I'm using that is hurting someone else, and it's not a big deal for me to stop using it, it's not going to hurt me, then rather tend towards not using things. Tend towards thinking about how you speak, what you speak, and doing it in a way that will uplift people, that will encourage people, that will challenge people to be better. So those are the first 10 points we looked at. I'll make another video to catch us up on the next 20. I hope these are being helpful, and I hope that you're going to invite someone to go back to the beginning and do a little catch up as you race with me.